Want to change a habit, get rid of a bad habit, or create a new good habit, you're in the right place. I'm Diane Planet In, and we are creating an inspired life together. If you're just joining the show, welcome, and I'll bring you up to speed. The first 3 laws of behavior change: make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy. Increase the odds that a behavior will be performed this time. The fourth law of behavior change: make it satisfying, increases the odds that a behavior will be repeated next time. It completes the habit loop. Yes, we are in a loop. Us humans are so predictable. And this is nothing new. This is Psychology 101. And if you don't believe me, go back to my psychology series that I did. It's all outlined there. This has been the way that humans act since the beginning of time. He goes on to say the fourth and final law of behavior change is making it satisfying. And why is that? Pleasure teaches your brain that a behavior is worth remembering and repeating. And he references Wrigley gum here. When Wrigley revolutionized the industry by adding flavors like spearmint and juicy fruit, made the product flavorful and fun to use. It added that element to refresh your taste. Tasty flavors and feelings of fresh milk provided little bits of immediate reinforcement and made the product satisfying to use. Toothpaste has a similar trajectory. Think of any product. What makes it satisfying to you? And this is what marketers know. They know this and they utilize it. And by the way, think about cigarettes, minty tasting cigarettes. They banned those in Canada, and a lot of people quit smoking because they really didn't like the taste. They liked the minty taste. So menthol cigarettes are no longer in Canada, but I'm just giving you a reverse action. Adding mint to the toothpaste, that made it more flavorful. And cigarettes. So it works both ways, doesn't it? All these different things. He says, conversely, if an experience is not satisfying, if that gum didn't have any flavor, we have little reason to repeat it. Nobody's buying chewy gum that doesn't taste like anything, right? Stories like these are evidence of the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is rewarded is repeated. What is punished is avoided. Let me say that again. What is rewarded is repeated. What is punished is avoided. You learn what to do in the future based on what you were rewarded for doing or punished for doing in the past. Positive emotions cultivate habits. Negative emotions destroy them. Yeah. Goal achieving or tension relieving, right? You have to have those positive reinforcements. And it's easy to do with children. You can give them a lot of positive reinforcements. But when you're parenting yourself, or you don't have that sphere that lifts you up, you need to create your own positive vibe. The positive vibe to keep you going. He says, but there is a trick. We are not looking for any type of satisfaction. We are looking for immediate satisfaction. Oh, interesting. In modern society, many of the choices you make today will not benefit you immediately. But we did not evolve that way, right? If you do a good job at work, you'll get a paycheck in a few weeks. If you exercise today, perhaps you won't be overweight next year. If you save money now, maybe you'll have enough for retirement decades from now. You live in what scientists call a delayed return environment because you can work for years before your actions deliver the intended payoff. And he has a footnote here about us humans. The shift to a delayed return environment likely began around the advent of agriculture 10,000 years ago, when farmers began planting crops in anticipation of a harvest months later. However, it was not until recent centuries that our lives became filled with delayed return choices. Career planning, retirement planning, vacation planning, and everything else that occupies our calendar. And I'm going to say part of the short-term strategy there is the anticipation. That's why I love having a project, having a goal. Sometimes I have too many on the go and I have to net it down. But the excitement and the feeling, ever get through to that? Like if you're like, oh, I can hardly wait for my vacation, that's the feeling. And you might get your vacation and go, oh, this is disappointing. No, no, you've already enjoyed it. You enjoyed it ahead of time. Happiness is in the journey. And he says the world has changed much in recent years, but human nature has changed little. Aha, right? We needed immediate gratification when we were hunter gatherers. He says once you understand how the brain prioritizes rewards, the answers become clear. The consequences of bad habits are delayed, while the rewards are immediate. Ah, immediate rewards, bad habits delayed. I hear that. Every habit, he says, produces multiple outcomes across time. Unfortunately, these outcomes are often misaligned. With our bad habits, the immediate outcome usually feels good, but the ultimate outcome feels bad. With good habits, it's the reverse. The immediate outcome is unenjoyable, but the ultimate outcome feels good. That's where you have to have a vision for your future. You have to keep that vision in mind. He says, put another way, the cost of your good habits are in the present. The cost of your bad habits are in the future. And we talked about that last week's episode, which I'll link in the show notes. Your future self. Once you have self-actualized, you become self-aware, you create your environment, you start working towards your future self. And this is something I wish I would have learned when I was in my 20s. Wow. If anything, wherever you are in the world, whoever you are listening, create the life for your future self. Those choices have consequences. And like he said here, right? Bad habits, you'll see them in the future. Oh, wish I hadn't done that, right? The brain's tendency to prioritize the present moments means you can't rely on good intentions. When you make a plan to lose weight, write a book, or learn a language, you're actually making plans for your future self. Aha. And when you envision what you want your life to be like, it is easy to see the value in taking actions with long term benefits. We all want better lives for our future selves. However, when the moment of decision arrives, instant gratification usually wins. You are no longer making a choice for future you. Who dreams of being fitter or wealthier or happier? You are choosing for present you. Who wants to be full, pampered, and entertained? As a general rule, the more immediate pleasure you get from an action, the more strongly you should question whether it aligns with your long term goals. With a fuller understanding of what causes our brain to repeat some behaviors and avoid others, let's update that cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated, what is immediately punished is avoided. Yes, we have a preference for instant gratification, and there's a reason for that. And he goes into detail in the book about as humans were evolving through life, we were always in the search for food. And we were immediately happy when we found that bushel of berries, when we found food. Do you see how this correlates in habit forming? Why marketers want us to buy those 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Yeah, doesn't that taste good? Yum. Yeah, not in the long run. And I'm just giving you a for instance. That is where you can trick your brain and have that conversation. He goes on to say, our preference for instant gratification reveals an important truth about success. Because of how we are wired, most people will spend all day chasing quick hits of satisfaction. The road less traveled is the road of delayed gratification. If you're willing to wait for the rewards, you'll face less competition and often get a bigger payoff. As the saying goes, The last mile is always the least crowded. And here's the problem. Most people know that delaying gratification is the wise approach. They want the benefits of good habits to be healthy, productive, at peace. But these outcomes are seldom top of mind at the decisive moment. Thankfully, it's possible to train yourself to delay gratification, but you need to work with the grain of human nature, not against it. The best way to do this is to add a little bit of immediate pleasure to the habits that pay off in the long run, and a little bit of immediate pain to the ones that don't. But how do you do that? The vital thing in getting a habit to stick is to feel successful, even if it's a small way. The feeling of success is a signal that your habit paid off and that the work was worth the effort. It is worth noting that it is important to select short-term rewards that reinforce your identity rather than the ones that conflict with it. For example, if you want to live a more healthier lifestyle, you work out, you're not going to reward yourself with a bowl of ice cream. Those are conflicting. They conflict, and that's a really simple example. So you're casting a vote for your future self. So if you want to reward yourself with a pedicure, a massage, you know, what is in alignment with that big picture goal? The short-term reward is aligned with your long-term vision of being a healthy person now, right? Eventually, an intrinsic reward like a better mood, more energy, and reduced stress kick in. You become less concerned with chasing the secondary reward. The identity itself becomes the reinforcer. You do it because it's who you are and it feels good to be you. The more a habit becomes part of your life, the less you need outside encouragement to follow through. Incentives can start a habit. Identity sustains a habit. Your future self. How do you identify? How do you see yourself? A habit needs to be enjoyable for it to last. Simple bits of reinforcement. Change is easy when it's enjoyable. So the fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying, increases the odds that a behavior will be repeated next time. And you're really going to have to put your thinking cap on. What is going to work for you? You know, you can have that conversation with yourself. You know what it is you're doing that you need to change in order to move yourself into the future, to show up for yourself, to live a more inspired life. I'm going to add the playlist right here. So if you like the show, share it with somebody you know, and hey, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, maybe a comment. What has made a difference in your life? How did you have that paradigm shift to change, to become the person you deserve to be? I'll see you next week.